Hello and welcome to the All Rookie Podcast. Today is June 25th, 2024, and I'm your host, William Harris, aka William is Bill. And today we have a very special episode. It's one day until the NBA draft. I know we all cannot wait, so let me get my last rankings, my last show before the draft out. My big board rankings 1 through 30. So ain't nothing else to be said. Let's get straight to it like it's nothing to it. Starting from 1 to 30. Number one, still Isaiah Collier, my number one prospect in this draft class. Um, Last I checked, he was ranked 21st by ESPN. So definitely not in the consensus. But he's a big point guard from USC, averaged 16 points, 3 boards, 4 assists, 1.5 steals per game. Shot 34% from three. Number one player in the class in 2023 coming into college, lightning fast point guard, and that tracks with today's NBA point guards, the dynamic players that can blow by their defenders, get a bucket anytime they need to, but also be a team player and help the team win. They did not do a lot of winning at USC. I know that, but I believe in Isaiah Collier, and if he gets with the right team, the right coach, no point guard, no player in general normally is going to come in and help a team win. Look at Victor Wembanyama, one of the best rookie years of all time, and they still were a bottom lottery team. So don't expect it in year one. Maybe year two, maybe year three, you can have a all-star level point guard in Isaiah Collier because I compare his game to John Wall. They're very similar college games. So it's no higher ceiling than Isaiah Collier in this draft class. I've been preaching it from day one. Uh, just trust me on it, okay? All right. Number two. Number two on my list is Alex Sarr, the big man from France, 19-year-old center, 50% from the field, 28% from three. Averaged 10 points, 4.5 boards, 1 assist, zero point 0.4 steals, 1.5 blocks per game. That was only in 18 minutes per game. So we know he could do more if he had more time on the court. He shoots it with confidence, good pull-up shooter. You love a big man that's not just a rim runner. He can shoot it, whether it's a three-pointer or a jump shot, and he also can do all the stuff that you want your center or big power forward to do with the rebounds, offensive putbacks, pick and rolls. Alex Sarr is pretty much a sure thing to be a starter in the league. It's just a question of will he make it into that all-star realm or remain just a starter? We will see. And there's talk that he wants to play a 4 instead of being a 5. That's going to be interesting. The way the NBA is going, with the smaller, skinnier centers, he would be able to play a 5 and be fine. The 5 is like a new 4. The center position is like a new power forward position because there's not a huge amount of huge players out there like it used to be, with David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Shaquille O'Neal. The centers are not like that anymore. They're trending toward the Nick Claxton, Alex Sarr, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Chet Wemby, that type of smaller, skinnier centers. So he doesn't have to worry about pounding and, being too physical. But, you know, sometimes people feel entitled. They want to ask for certain things. We will see if he gets that. I think he can play the 4 or the 5. Hopefully his attitude does not cause any problems there. Number 3 on my list, Cody Williams from Colorado, 6'8", 190 pounds, 19 years old, shot 41.5% from three. Very long athlete, a little raw, but he's a good shooter. So being raw with him means I think we've only scratched the surface of how good he can be. He can create his own shot, takes a ton of bad shots, contested shots. That's going to get better in the NBA with better coaching. But he can drive, pull up for the J, spot up, hit the three. He honestly can do everything on the court. He just needs to put it all together and be more selfish, really, of a player. Because I think he could do more, and we want to see more. And I think he can be in the vein of a Brandon Miller from Charlotte last year. He's going to have to be more aggressive. But even if he's not more aggressive, he's still going to be able to help a team and going to continue to grow each year. And the talent spectrum for Cody Williams is through the roof. Trust me. That's the theme of this show. Trust me. Because if you've been listening to other pods, you're going to be like, he's like 12th. Why did he have him third? Trust me. Number 4, Matas Buzelis, the 6'10" forward from the G League, the big G League, I guess. 14 points, 6.5 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks per game. 45% from the field, 26% from three. The reason why he's not a consensus top 5 player is because of that 26% from three. But he is a better shooter than that. He said all his life he's been a great shooter. He just had a down season shooting in the G League, and that's understandable. And in the G League, they do shoot from the NBA 3-point range. In college, they do not. So that's something to be thought about. But he's a solid free throw shooter, and I just think focusing on analytics sometimes can cause you to miss. So he's definitely a top 5 prospect in my opinion. I have him 4th. He can run the floor extremely well. Plays like a 6'8" small forward, very versatile big, very aggressive and strong in the paint, can attack bigs, but yet also be finesse, has a nice handle. And I think he's certainly a starting forward in the league that's multi-positional, tall, long. He should be a great fit for anyone. And that was Matas Buzelis. Number 5, Ron Holland, a 6'7" guard/4 from the G League. Almost 20 points per game, 7 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. I mean, that's just production all over the place. The only negative for Ron Holland is 24% from 3. Again, in the G League, that's an NBA 3-point range. So if he was in college, that might have looked like 28%. So you give a few percentage points for that. But it's all about work ethic. You can be an average or bad 3-point shooter and increase that. And then you can be that average or bad 3-point shooter and remain the same your whole career. That is truly up to the player. But Ron Holland is a super athlete with a great handle. He's clearly a pro when you see him out there. And he's not a ball stopper. You know, a lot of guys get the ball like want to go one-on-one, not looking for assist. But, you know, he had 3 assists, and that wasn't his field. But he can finish in traffic with either hand. I mean, he's tremendous in transition. He's going to be one of those must-see players that you're going to want to watch in a few years. You know, think of Anthony Edwards and how dynamic he is. He can do all the things that Anthony Edwards can do, except for he cannot shoot it great yet. But once he gets that, and if he gets an opportunity, you can have a dynamic shooting guard on your hands. I'm not comparing him to Anthony Edwards. I'm just saying offensively, he is special. Except for the shooting. But number 6, Tyler Smith, 6'11" big man from the G League Ignite. Again, that's 3 G League Ignite players in a row. 14 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block. 36% from 3 and only 22 minutes per game. Super athletic, dunks everything in sight, multi-dimensional on offense and defense. He can play the pick and roll. He can be a stretch 4 or 5, very versatile. And I think he is a big that can help a lot of teams. Like we mentioned with Sarr earlier, he can play the 4 or the 5. But he's definitely not a traditional big, but he's a good passer when guys are cutting to the hoop, long arms, long wingspan, great shot blocker. I think he'll be a great rim protector. It's going to take more work, more learning, but I think he'll be just fine. Tyler Smith. Number 7, Rob Dillingham. There's been talk about him dropping. There's no reason for that. Don't believe the hype. I mean, if you want to say anything that's a negative about Robert Dillingham, it's just his height. And then you can't say it's a negative on him and then other people that are his height or smaller rising in the draft. So that doesn't make any sense. But Rob Dillingham, 6'2", 6'3" from Kentucky point guard, 44.5% from 3, ridiculous. Insane handles, probably one of the best handles in the draft class. He dribbles like Stephon Marbury, and he's a great athlete that can get up off the ground. Obviously a great 3-point shooter, one of the best in the class, very fast with the ball, has a killer crossover, great shooting ability. His game will fit perfectly in today's NBA, and I think he can be a starter in the league right away if his size is not an issue. And there are point guards that are his size or smaller that are still thriving, like Darius Garland. So I think Dillingham will be okay. He just really, really, really needs to go to the right team. You look at a guy like Jaden Ivey, he didn't go to the right team because I think he should have been a point guard, and he's kind of stuck. So long as these players go to a team where they can get minutes and be given a chance to run the team, they should be okay. Number 8, Khalil Ware, 7-footer from Indiana. Good shooting, big man, very impressive, very athletic, nice touch, great length. And like I said, he can even shoot the three. Most bigs that play like him can't shoot, and he can. So I think there is a scary ceiling for him. You know, he averaged a double-double in college. One of the few players that did that with 16 points, 10 boards, and 2 blocks per game. Why is he not in a consensus top 10 for everyone? He should be. People talk about the motor. A lot of times when you hear in a drop about draft capital, draft podcast, ESPN draft experts, a term or two gets thrown around and it sticks with a player. Like people said, Isaiah Collier, he can't shoot, and that just stuck with him. So everyone's like, now it's draft time. Isaiah Collier can't shoot. He shot better than John Wall in every statistic. He's not the bottom tier shooter in the league at all. 34% from three is average or a little bit better than average. So the same thing with Khalil Ware, they're saying his motor, his motor, his motor. His motor is not going to be a problem in the NBA. That's just nonsense. You know, this is stuff is lazy reporting, I believe, that the people in control want to keep stuff out there with the player. You know, there was a lot of talk last year about Gigi Jackson. Oh, he posted some tweets. You know, he does this, he does that. His work ethic. You go by that, you make the players fall in the draft when they should not. You need to get in there and talk with Khalil Ware, see if he loves basketball. If he loves basketball, it's gonna work at it. That should not be an issue. That's what the interview process is for. We don't get to see all the private workouts, but Khalil Ware is someone I would definitely take in the lottery. He's going to be a defensive presence for your team, and he can score offensively. Don't overthink it, NBA. Number 9, Zachary Richichet. He's being looked at as the number 1 prospect, maybe 2. Number 3, he's my 9th ranked prospect, 19-year-old from France. 11 points per game, 3.5 boards. Now he kind of had like 2 seasons, you know, and in the Euro Cup, he shot 35% from three. And in the Pro A, no, in the Euro Cup, he shot 56% from three. In the Pro A, he shot 35% from three. So who's the real Ricochet? 35% is still good. 56% is incredible. I mean, that's the best shooter in history, pretty much. But Ricochet is a really good spot-up shooter. But when you think of a 6'9" forward, you're thinking power forward. He's more like a shooting guard or small forward. Very long, skinny arms. He avoids contact in the paint. But he does play very under control. Kind of, you can call it slow, honestly, but I think it's under control, methodical. But he's deadly when left open because, like I said, he can shoot it. But in my opinion, he should not be a top 3 pick at all. I would say the earliest he should go is maybe 5 to Detroit, but we will see. He can hit the fadeaway, just no real post game due to his lack of strength. Not really going to create his own shot like say a Paolo Banchero. But he's a solid player, moves well on defense, on the perimeter, long arms to help contend. In my opinion, he's similar to Grady Dick. And he was like the 13th pick last year. So I don't think you would want to draft that at 1, 2, or 3 this year. And number 10, Terrence Shannon, 6'7" guard from Illinois. I mean, if you look up the word baller in the dictionary, it's Terrence Shannon. He can do everything offensively. Great 3-point shooter, 36% from three, 23 points per game. 4 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. I mean, he did everything. He's an elite scorer. He flashes on the screen, makes incredible passes, explosive player, can hit the step back 3. Probably the most gifted offensive player in this draft class. And I mean, if he turned out to be the best player in this draft class, I would not be surprised, honestly. He has the total package in college. The only negative really on him is he's 24 years old. So if he was 19 or 20, all the teams will be salivating for him. We will see how he lands in the draft class because there's talk he could be late first. But I think whoever does that will be getting a complete steal. It should be illegal how much of a steal that is. That was 1 through 10. Let's get to 11 through 20. Number 11 is still Tristan da Silva. I've been hearing he's slipping a little bit for some people. Not for me. When you are 6'9" and shooting almost 40% from three, you should be a lottery pick. Excellent three-point shooter, and he can handle the ball well for his size. He dribbles like a guard at times. He's one of those guys that can play right away, so a playoff team will probably get him, and he's really going to play a role and help out a lot. The question is he going to be a role player, like an excellent role player, or be able to do more? I think he can do more. It just depends on if he's given the opportunity. But I definitely think Tristan da Silva will be in the league for a long time. Number 12, Yves Missi, the 6'11" big man from Baylor. Average 1.5 blocks per game and 23 minutes per game. 19 years old, long athletic center. A little raw offensively, but he can do all the necessary things that can help right away, like a Derek Lively has been doing. Tremendous shot blocker, super long arms to help protect the paint. I compare him to Clint Capella, and he's 19 years old, so he's got plenty of time to be that and possibly more. Yves Missi, one of the best centers in this league, and I think he's being underrated, honestly. Number 13, Devin Carter from Providence, averaged 20 points, 9 boards, 3.5 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block per game, and shot 38% from three. Perfect numbers for a point guard. Crafty, intelligent scorer, really good three-point shooter, makes a lot of tough shots. He surprises you with his athleticism. I wanted to compare him to like a Jamal Murray type of point guard. To me, when I saw his film, I had to think of Jose Alvarado, and I looked up Jose Alvarado's footage in college, and he is similar to Jose Alvarado in college. That may sound like an insult to Devin Carter. It is not, because he is a bigger and better version of him. And you see how much Jose contributes in the NBA. He's a very important player for the Pelicans in those 15 minutes a game that he plays. So I think Devin Carter should come in and be able to be a starter or play 30 minutes for a team at point guard and, cause havoc offensively and defensively. I think he will be a really good point guard for someone. Devin Carter. Number 14, Carlton Carrington, aka Bub Carrington. 14 points, 5 boards, 4 assists per game for Pittsburgh. 32% from three. But in my opinion, he's one of the best shooters in this class. The numbers don't show it. But when you watch his tape, you see Joe Johnson. I mean, just really smooth jumper, really good shooting guard. He has pro moves already, and he's 18 years old. So it may not be this year where you're going to see his prime, obviously, but the future is very bright for Carlton Carrington. You can tell he's a very confident player. If he gets the ball, he thinks he can score on anyone. So I think Carlton Carrington is definitely a lottery pick in this draft class because I have him ranked 14th. We'll see where he goes. I can't wait to see where all these guys go. And I will be back to discuss after the draft. I may try to do a show during the draft. Just keep your eyes open. And if not, I'll be on Twitter talking about the picks. Number 15, Nikolai Topic, the 6'7" point guard from Serbia. You're going to love that size, and he shoots solid. Even though it's 28% from three, you can tell with his form, he's at a better starting position than a lot of other guards that can't shoot. But Nikolai is a smooth guard with a nice handle. He's not the fastest, but he is a very natural point guard, and some teams will really, really, really be salivating over that. He's an unselfish player, and I think he will fit great with a team that has a big man that can put it in the basket, and that's why a lot of people think he's going to the Spurs. He's had a lot of injuries, knee injuries. He's hurt right now. That could possibly cause him to fall. Who knows if they're getting the medical, because he's from Serbia. He's an international player. He's not a guy that's just from, North Carolina or Syracuse that they could just walk over and say, hey, let me test you. He's international. We don't know what their medicals are looking like over there or what information Nikolai is willing to give. So we will see, but I think it's worth the risk at around the 15 mark for Nikolai Topic. Number 16, Stephon Castle, 6'6" guard from UConn. To me, very natural shooting guard, fast and athletic, good crossover, smart cutter and finisher in traffic, very crafty player, attacks the rim very fast and aggressive. He has an array of moves to manipulate the defense and plays very good defense. He can stay with his man, plays the passing lanes well. But there's been talk that he played a smaller role at UConn to help the team win. All I can base that off of for his ranking is what I saw from him at UConn. So if he took a smaller role, that's all I saw. Everything else is projecting. He's saying he's a point guard. I didn't see him as a point guard. I saw him as a shooting guard. The very first 3 words I wrote on him when I watched his film was very natural shooting guard. So we will see. And I don't think he's even the best shooting guard clearly in this class. So talk about him in the top 5. I don't get it. There will be teams that he can fit and he can play well with, but in reality, he should not be a top 5 pick. I would say maybe starting at 9 or 10, start looking at him, but we'll see. Number 17, Trey Alexander, a guy that I have not heard very much at all about during this draft process. Trey Alexander, 6'4" from Creighton, averaged 18.6 boards, 5 assists, and shot 34% from 3. You can look at him as similar to Devin Carter, but no one's talking about him. He could have came out last year. I was not big on him last year. I was like, to go back to school, please. He did, and he got better. He's got one of the best mid-range games in college. Very heady player, great IQ. He's clutch. I think he can play in that Jamal Murray vein. He's not Jamal Murray, but he'll be able to fit for a team very well and help run the offense. And, he can score when he needs to. He can facilitate when he needs to. Very nice control of the ball. He's not super athletic where he's going to be jumping out of the gym or everything, but that's not necessary. Number 18, Zach Edey, the most polarizing player in this draft class, 7'4", 300 pounds, averaged 25 points and 12 boards with 2 blocks per game. And he's gotten a lot better becoming a senior at Purdue. He went from a nothing to something. And, he runs the floor very well. Like I said, the 7'4" wingspan, I saw something today where an unnamed scout was like, it's one of the players said it's like going up against Shaq. Like, he's so big, it's nothing you can do unless you're as big as him. We will see about that. And that's either going to work out or it's going to be like a Boban situation where he plays spot minutes. We will see. I think his floor is higher than that. I think his floor, though, is around 15, 20 minutes. And he played a lot of minutes at Purdue. So I think he'll be okay if he gets an opportunity. Even if he hits, he's going to be dominant. If it doesn't hit, it's going to be like, oh, that wasn't a good pick at all. I think we're leaning toward that was a good pick. Number 19, Ryan Dunn from Virginia. When you want to think defense, think of Ryan Dunn, but also athleticism because he's a super high flyer. And, we talk about the shooting, 20% from 3, one of the worst in the class, but he has a really good shot. So his form is there. It's just not going in. We can see, I'm sure some shooting coaches out there can help Ryan Dunn because his defense is elite and he can guard multiple positions, explosive athlete, and there's no way he should make it out of the top 20. Ryan Dunn from Virginia. Terrible free throw shooter too, but somebody coach him up. Number 20, Tijane Salons, the 6'9" forward from France. Not many stats that you care to hear about, but 33% from 3. Very aggressive forward, great handle on his dribble, great form and shots. People are talking about he should go 8 to the Spurs. I don't have him that high at all, but I think he can fill the Michael Porter Jr. role and play like current Michael Porter Jr. role. Come in, be a bigger forward, and help the team have some size, depending on who you're going up against. But yeah, Tijane Salon is still weak in the paint, needs to get some weight on him. But give him a year or two. I think he'll be helpful for a squad. And up next, we have number 21, Dalton Connect, the 6'6" guard from Tennessee. 40% from three, excellent. And let me start with this. He's got a great name, Dalton Connect. It's going to be a lot of connected for three, but he's good at everything, in my opinion, just not a special player. That's why I have him 21st. He can get his own shot and get by his man. He's not really fast. He's just crafty, which is important. But he gets good elevation on his shot. I just worry he's the perfect college player. I worry about it translating to the NBA. They could change his game completely and make him a stand in the corner shooter, or they let him be like himself, and we will see. He reminds me a little of Chris Middleton present day. So Dalton Connect is a name to look out for. It depends on where he goes. It depends on where a lot of these guys go, including the guy I'm about to talk about now. Donovan Clingan, 7'2" big man from UConn, big body center, traditional post player, gets good college position, not very athletic, not very strong in the paint, but he's always in the right spot. There is something to say about that. But when you get the ball in the paint and you're 280 pounds, you need to be going to work. I saw Clingan struggling against a school I never even heard of to get down in the paint. He should be banging those guys, getting the shot, getting the baby hook, getting the turnaround. But it's all like, let me get as close as I can and knock these guys out of the way with my body and get the layup. So he seems like a very good college center to me, but I think he will be like a G League player. But if he gets drafted high, which there's talk he will, he'll be thrown out there. Um, there's similarities in him and Ivica Zubac, but Clingan. All right, let's just keep going. Number 23, Tyler Kolek, 6'3". Tyler, yeah, he is 6'3", point guard. I was like, wait a minute. 6'3" point guard from Marquette, averaged 15 points, 5 boards, 8 assists, 1.5 steals. Probably the best passing guard in his class. Shot 39% from three. He does everything perfect. He's a lefty, very experienced point guard and shooter. He's a very smart finisher at the rim, true point guard. You know, great touch, great feel for the game. Works extremely hard on defense. This is a guy I can guarantee you he'll be in the league for at least 10 years. Number 24, Reed Sheppard from Kentucky. You're like, what? 24? Yes, I've been hearing people talk about the Rockets should take him at 3. You will get fired if you take Reed Sheppard at 3. That would be a horrible decision. Yes, he can shoot the ball. Yes, he's the best shooter in his class. But can he create his own shot? I think he can in college a little bit, but will he be able to do it in the NBA? He has a great pull-up jumper. You know, he plays with all the right fundamentals. Nice floater. Knows when to pull up in traffic when traffic is coming. But to me, his film is very much so like Corey Kispert, just 5 inches smaller. And so if he's playing point guard, that's one thing, but I highly doubt that he can because he did not in college. He can dribble pretty well for his size, but he's not an excellent ball handler. And you kind of need to be that in the NBA. But being a 6'2" point guard, shooting guard, it's possible they can pair him with a guy that is a taller point guard, and then they can switch that off. But I don't see it for Reed Sheppard right now. We will see because there's no one in the league like him. You know, when you go by archetypes, that helps you to be like, yeah, he could be successful because there are a lot of 6'9" long wings doing it. There's a lot of taller point guards doing it. When you don't really have other examples of a Reed Sheppard in the NBA, it's kind of like, and the size being too short is a thing. Kind of just leaves you a little, Next, 25, Deron Holmes, 6'10" big man from Dayton. Excellent shooter, even with threes. He moves his feet very well for a center, can dribble to the rack from the perimeter, moves his feet well on defense, great shot blocker, great protector of the paint, even stays with smaller defenders. And if he does get beat by them, he can extend, contest the shot, or block it. Deron Holmes, really good center or power forward that a team could use in the 20s, in my opinion. Number 26, Jared McCain from Duke. I think I had him ranked 29th. moved him up a little bit after watching a little bit more film. Has a very quick first step, which allows him to beat his defender off the dribble. He can hit the step back three or the jumper. He has an excellent shot on him at 41.5% from three. It's possible he'll be a backup, but if he keeps working on his game, he could start for a team. 20 years old. He could do it. He could do it. And at this point, at 26, this is where you want to take your shots on players that could do it. Number 27, Pacome Dadiet from France. The numbers are not there. 6 points, 2 boards, 1.5. No, just a half steal per game. But he did shoot 34% from three. Good handle of the ball and speed to his game. Nice turnaround jump shot. Worth the shot in the 20s. Has the shooting ability, athleticism, the size everyone's looking for. Can guard 1 through 4 on defense. We will see what Pacome Dadiet. It's a lot of we will see. But if a guy is similar to him at 8 and you can get him at 28, you might want to wait off on that. Next, 28, Cam Christie. Well, you're like, Christie? What is that? Sounds familiar. Cameron Christie averaged 11 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 0.6 steals, 0.3 blocks, and 39% from three. Cameron Christie is the little brother of Max Christie. I love his movements and vision. He's an athletic guard, has a great shot, can create his own, get open, knock down the catch and shoot. Probably should have stayed another year in college, but it is what it is. But very smooth game, take some bad shots and heat checks, but that's going to have to be coached up. I hope all these players are coachable because it's really going to help them out in their future. Up next, 29, Keyshawn George, the 6'8" point guard from Miami, 7.5 points per game, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and he's 20 years old. Excuse me, but good spot up 3-point shooter, but very slow point guard. You couldn't get much slower than Keyshawn George. His handle is average at best. I don't think he can play point in the NBA. It's possible, but you have guys like Pat Bev that are going to be stripping you every time, being 6'8", 6'9", trying to bring the ball up the court. But he has really good court vision, and that may be his best feature. Excuse me. And he's a really good passer. So Keyshawn George, can he be something? I think he's going to have to speed up his game and get with a good team and get in the film room. Last but not least, number 30, Jacoby Walter, the 6'5" guard from Baylor, 14.5 points, 4.5 boards, 1.5 assists, 1 steal per game, and shot 34% from three. Good 3-point shooter, good ball handler. Plays a little too fancy at times, street ball like, ball stopper like, but he has long range. He had the keys to Baylor, and oh, excuse me. It is almost midnight, so I'm a little tired, and I've been working my butt off until the draft. Had to get this out here for you guys, but Jacoby Walter, he's possible to go in the first round. I think people have him a lot higher than me, but I got him here at 30, very similar to Josh Christopher. We will see. He's an exciting point guard that needs some professional coaching, and we will see where that goes. All right, guys, let's go through my list one more time. In case you came in late, you missed something, your kid was talking to you, you missed a name. Here we go. Number 1 to 30. Number 1, Isaiah Collier. Number 2, Alex Sarr. 3, Cody Williams. Matas Buzelis, Ron Holland, Tyler Smith, Rob Dillingham, Khalil Ware, Zachary Richache, Terrence Shannon, Tristan Da Silva, Eves Missy, Devin Carter, Carlton Carrington, Nikolai Topic, Stephon Castle, Trey Alexander, Zach Edey, Ryan Dunn, Tijon Salon, Donovan Clingan, Dalton Connect, Tyler Kolick, Reed Shepard, Deron Holmes, Jared McCain, Pacome Dadiet, Cam Christie, Keyshawn George, and Jacoby Walter. Tell me who I left off on your list. If you loved it, if you hated it, where did I go wrong? I want to hear your feedback. A guy today tried to come at me about a comparison I did. It's all in fun, guys. You don't need to take anything too serious. And as far as getting mad about anything, it's what my eyes see. If you see something different, you say what you saw. But for the most part, I truly, truly, truly appreciate everyone that's listening, watching, put eyeballs on this show, the All Rookie Podcast. And like I said, I'll try to draft with you guys, be in the draft with you guys. If not, I'll do the recap the next day. So until the next time I see you, it'll be after the first round. So cheers to you. Have fun. Enjoy it. And anything else you want to know on any prospects, hit me up at William is Bill. I'll stop rambling. I'm out of here. Peace.